Good. मजा आया? Enjoyed it? कोई मजा नहीं आया? अरे अच्छा. They only enhance the maja. What shloka are we on? 39 or 30th? 38. Okay. I think 38 is done. 39. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. It's not done? Okay. Repeat after me, 38th shloka. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddhaha कालेनात्मनि विन्दति. So last week we saw that for different stains there are different stain removers. Do you remember that? Okay. Oh, you remember that? Very good. Shabash. I have to congratulate myself. कुछ तो याद रहा. So how do you remove that blood stain? With your own saliva, you rub it, and even if it is a dry stain, it will come off. Try किया था? हाँ जी. So similarly, for all the limitations of what we experience in this samsara is because of lack of knowledge, jnana. And ajnana can be removed only through jnana. Asatoma sadgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. So the darkness of ignorance can be removed, or here more specific, darkness of ignorance of the self can be removed only through the acquiring knowledge of one's own self. Nahi jnanena sadrisham. Therefore, there is nothing, none compared to jnana as the purifier, which purifies the individual. Tatsvayam yoga samsiddhaha. Having thus purified, one gains the knowledge of one's own self. Now, presently, when we talk about ourselves, when we present about ourselves, we sometimes refer to ourselves from the physical aspect. In the beginning of the year, we all take a resolution, don't we? To improve upon these resolutions. So this year, I also improved on my resolution. The screen size, I improved the resolution of the screen size. Those who understood it laughed. क्यों हंस रहे हैं? Did you all get it? Screen resolution. Okay. I'm trying to reach to the other 50%. So when we talk these resolutions, sometimes we focus on the physical aspect. I think I'm getting too fat. So when you stand in front of that dirty thing called mirror, why is it dirty? It just states the fact as is, doesn't decorate it for our convenience. So it is too blunt and honest. It just gives out what is. So you make a resolution. I have to reduce myself. There, what are we talking about as myself? Is at the physical level as the physical body. I have to exercise and bring back myself to shape. Now, there also we don't understand mathematics. Who says round is not a shape? But then the identification with the physical body is so strong that we define the self with respect to this body. That I am thin, I am fat, I am tall, I am short. People say that we short people are always, we have problems. I said, for somebody who is tall and they have to travel quite a bit, the pain. The seat is like the other fellow is sleeping in your lap. And in the economy, they have good sense of humor. When they say sit back, relax, enjoy, that is called sit back. Like, you can push back that much. And they make a big deal of straighten your seats. You cannot move your feet or anything, and then they say stuff it under the seat. Where do we put our feet then? They are not like any add-ons that the rest of the journey you can take them off and then put them aside. She's probably visualizing all these things. So we define ourselves, the definition of self as thin, short, tall, fat. Then the color of the skin, brown, black, white, and nobody is comfortable in their own skin. And those who are dark, they want to become light. Those who are white, they want dark, tan. I don't know, there's some confusion somewhere. Psychologically, human beings have an issue. We are not comfortable who we are, where we are. We always want to imitate and ape something which we think is better than, cooler than what we are. So the white want to become brown, the brown want to become white, the black, I don't care. We are in one constant color. There was a essay that I read. I said, whatever emotions that we go through, we still remain black. Whereas when you get angry, you become red with anger, green with envy. You change colors, we remain constant. And there is so much that goes across just with the skin color. The identification of the self, the definition of the self is based on skin color is such a limiting factor. About 120 years ago, the definition of who possesses a soul, because if you look into the Christian works, they even today believe that the animals and birds do not have a soul. They have now defined or refined their definitions to include human beings of all skin color or races. 120 years ago, their definition of those who had soul was only those who had white skin. White skin men had soul. Even women did not have. And that is why they could enslave the black, because they don't possess a soul anyway. I mean, that was a big limited factor based on the skin color. Knowing very well that the skin is just the dermis and epidermis is just the external layer, underneath everything else is similar. So we define ourselves from the physical aspect, the grossest aspect. Sometimes we define ourselves with respect to our emotions. I am very angry. I seldom am very calm. I get disturbed when I get jealous. Different emotions. Sometimes I feel so dull. And we go through these emotions and we identify with those emotions and define the self as those emotions. And as if we have to oblige with every emotion that passes by our heart, we identify with every single one of them and dance accordingly. At the emotional level, that is what we define ourselves because of our identification. And there are some who define their existence as, I am this emotional only. Usually when there is a him and her situation between the spouses, she says, he does not understand me. What does he not understand? We have compatibility issues. I come with such soft, delicate emotions. He doesn't understand, let alone appreciate. Not to give in, he also says, I have these stimulating thoughts, and she doesn't reciprocate to that. She is very dry and like she doesn't even bother to what. So one defines themselves as the intellect, the other defines themselves as the emotions. So I tell them that the compatibility need not be that both be emotional or both be intellectual. The compatibility is one is intellectually strong, the other is emotionally strong. Together you make a complete personality. When things have to be decided on an emotional front, let the person with emotional strength decide. When it has to be intellectual, let the intellectual person decide. No, Swamiji, I feel like sharing it with someone and it feels so suffocating. Because I define myself with basis of my identification. Some at a physical level, some at an emotional level, some at a intellectual level. Therefore, the sadhana given in our Hinduism, in our Sanatana Dharma, is that neither you are the body, nor the emotions, nor the intellect. In Nirvana Shatkam, It is also called as Atma Shatkam. Mano buddhyahankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jihve. So there he describes that you are neither mana, buddhi, chitta or ahankara, let alone being the physical body. But suddenly it shocks us. If I am not all this, that which I can experience, I can tangibly experience all these things, then what am I? Uttamah purushastvanyah paramatmetyudahrataha. Where is it, Swamiji? Where is it? Very good. I am so blessed to have such a good congregation. He immediately identified. Uttamaha purushaha tu anyaha. That which is not shakeable, that which cannot be contaminated by the changes of physical, emotional, or intellectual level, that which is the substratum, that which supports all these to function in their own fields. At a physical level, I can interact with the world outside because the physical body is enlivened by that Uttama Purusha, by the spark of life enlivened, I can interact with this world. Right about this time, it would be so good if somebody were to offer us hot chai. Okay, not any chai, masala chai. Masala chai with pakode, chalega? हाँ, या समोसे, pakode, okay. Garma garam pakode. Because at this time, after तो हर संडे की बात है ये. So after staying awake for the watching the entire cricket match and still coming to Saket, the aftermath of watching cricket match, the physical body has its own impact. Do you think we can cherish, enjoy anything, interact with anything, whether it be chai, pakoda, or the weather outside, from the physical aspect, if that enlivening aspect were not existing? We may demand a chai at this time. But once that spark of consciousness leaves this body, around the body, people are crying, and suddenly the body says, "Hey, yaar, chai le aaya, bahut der se leta hu main yahan pe." बर्फ पे लिटाया हो था, गर्म हो जाऊं थोड़ा मैं. And you're all like hovering around, give me a little gap, थोड़ा हवा आने दो यार. Let the air. There's nobody to demand such things because there is nothing that is enlivening that physical aspect to interact with the world outside. Once I was with Gurudev. We were going towards a yajna, and there was a group of people carrying the dead body, and we had to stop for the procession to pass by. And Gurudev made a note of it, and he immediately used that in his talk just 5 minutes later. He says, unfortunately, there was somebody who passed away, and that procession was right in front of us. We watched it. And they were carrying the body with the chant of राम नाम सत्य है. Though the spirit has left the body, the dense body still refuses to accept the fact of life that Ram Naam Satya hai. And when they are carrying it and saying Ram Naam Satya hai, the head goes saying, because while they are carrying, the head is moving, and it's almost nodding a negation, saying, Tum jo bhi bolo, nahi hai. I don't believe in what you're saying. So that which enlivens at a physical aspect, so that we can interact with the world, that enlivening factor, that because of which we can grasp the emotions, understand these emotions, that whatever be the content of the emotions, you are the one who is illumining the content. You don't need to be tainted or colored by the colors of your emotions. Any moving thought, any kind of emotion that it carries, I immediately identify with that emotion and start enacting that emotion. If there is a sad thought, what do I become? I become very sad. जब दिल ही टूट गया. Why? Valentine's Day, no response. Is it yesterday? Huh. So my heart is saddened. There is a sad emotion and we identify with it and become sad. And there is a very bad thought. So what do I become? If it is sad, I become sad. If it is bad, I become bad. It is the content of the thought which is being illumined by you. Just because you illumine, you don't need to become it. If it is raining outside, do you become Rain Man? If it is sunny outside, do you become Sun Man? Similarly, the inside weather, whatever be the emotion, you don't need to identify with it. If it is useful, you pick it up, use it, and be done with it. Intellect, decision, and somewhere very deeply rooted in our traditional conditioning, in our way of Indian living, that if the decision is accepted, it is equated to respect or worthiness. And non-acceptance of a decision is equated to disrespect and unworthiness. तेरी कोई नहीं सुनता तू निकम्मा है. It's equated that way. So when somebody accepts my decisions, I immediately, because I'm so identified with that decision, that in the moment it is accepted, I feel like my heart swells because they are respecting me. So far, so good. But unanimously, if they denounce my decisions, immediately it hurts. Why? I have already equated the rejection of my thought in the form of a decision as a rejection of my own self. Therefore, I equate it to be disrespectful. What was rejected was only a thought. You don't respect me anymore? No, I still respect you. I don't respect that particular thought. But we are identified with it. That is how we define the self. And how do we remove this wrong identification? nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. Wrong identification has happened out of ignorance, and ignorance can be removed only through knowledge of the true nature of self. Kalenatmani vindati. Thus, understanding this sequence and applying it diligently in day to day life, one acquires the true nature of one's own identity. But just wait. Before I take to the next shloka, I'm trying to ascertain what is the minimum education qualification. Have you all done through your undergrad in this country or that country? All those who have done your undergrad, raise your hands. Wow. Masters. Baapre. Doctorate. एक दो तीन चार. हाँ जी. You get a MA, not a PhD. It may lead to the same consequences, permanent head damage, PhD. What that? Passed with high difficulty. That too. MA because married again. So you all have gone through the basics of educational field. So somewhere, even if you have not taken the science field, you have gone through what the science would introduce as atoms, electrons, neutrons, things like that. Am I making uh, am I presupposing this, or have you read through it? So you've been introduced to it, right? Has anyone sitting here seen an atom? उसको तो मैंने हाथ में पकड़ के फोड़ा है. Has anybody seen an atom, a nucleus, electron? Who said yes? Have you? We are all educated. We all have gone through undergrad, graduate program. That regard, you are more educated than me. So my basic question is, have you seen an atom? There's so much of science that evolves from that basic understanding that there is an atom, there is a nucleus right in the middle, and there are electrons running all around it. In the nucleus, there are protons, neutrons, positrons. And within those, there are other energy particles. What are they called? No. I have not come to the God particle yet. This is just at the nucleus level. Photons, none of you have seen or experienced. The reason I'm bringing up this discussion is suddenly when we come to the field of understanding religion and spirituality, we tend to carry a chip on our shoulders saying that religion or spirituality is not scientific enough. Whatever is said, where is the proof? I find it little hypocritical that when you talk about science, when you talk about atoms, molecules, and other things, none of you have had a first hand experience. Tell me if I am exaggerating it. I'll correct the course of discussion. That way I can give you various examples. Why stunting? We call this socket. We have enough sockets. They'll charge you up. You'll get a better shock, and then we can say that this is the least resistance path. The electrons are flowing, therefore electrons exist. And the various methods that can be, but have you seen it as a first-hand experience? Again, none of us have seen it firsthand. But yet we say that I don't, work in the realm of beliefs because it is blind belief. Whatever we are learning in science, is it not a belief system if it is not a first-hand experience? If it is a belief system, again, you make an assumption, very good assumption. You are already concluding. You just said those have been proven, these are not proved. There is an existing proof. What you are reading Bhagavad Gita is an existing proof. It is the documentation of that experimentation. When you are reading static or thermodynamics or electricity or whatever, it is the documentation of those experiments. Exactly. That also you have not interacted with. That existing proof of whatever you are claiming is also something you have not personally experienced. This whole thing is a documentation and there is an experience of various people. That amount of belief, or you cut a slack for science saying that yes, there is an experimentation and this is the documentation, I tend to believe in it. Why don't you come with the openness that this also may have a possibility? I don't have to deal with the kids right now. If I can get to your heads and change your convictions, my battle is won. I am not dealing with the kids. With the kids, it is easier for me. When I sit with them, it is easier. I can cut to the chase and come to this understanding without going through these hoops. No, you're changing my question paper. No, you're changing my entire dialogue here. My dialogue is on the question of possibility and belief system. I am not dwelling into science and what science has proven or what science is yet to prove. I am not going there. We tend to give them a scope of possibility and we believe in it. Why don't you come with the same belief? And suddenly here we want scientific, first-hand proof and experience. Well, what you call science on which you are basing your existence and your research, you have not had first-hand experience. You are still working on accepted belief system. This is also a documentation. Give it enough room. And that room will give you the possibility to put this documentation into experiment in your own life. And before even experimenting, the whole thing is trashed. Give it some scope. That's exactly what I'm trying to reach across. Prove it. If you go that way in real number analysis, 0 to 1 is an assumption, because there is no real number called 1. Between 0 and 1, there is infinite number of possibilities. Therefore, it is infinity alone. It's just an assumption that there is 1. But there is no 1. There is infinity there. There is no perfect circle or a sphere, because it is a combination of straight lines. When you go zoom into that smaller level, we take it to that, it's a circle. Now, the thing that I'm not dwelling into why science or how science. We give it a scope and start working so that we make improvements and stretch of accomplishments. Similarly, when you come here, when we come with an openness to a possibility, that is what he is trying to say in this 39th shloka. Why did I go through all those hoops? Just to create a dialogue for the 39th shloka. Now repeat the shloka after me. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatpara samyatendriyah jnanam labdhva param shantim achirenadhigacchati. So he says, when you come to this field, come with Shraddha. Shraddha, there are various standpoints that have to be explained here. First, when people say, don't have blind belief, I say that that statement itself is flawed. Because belief works only in the field of blind. The moment you have experienced it, you don't need faith. You don't need a belief system there. When you work with fire, you burn your fingers. Is there anybody who has not burned their fingers? I mean, fingers, not necessarily fingers, but has the fire left a mark on your body? Fire. So when you make a statement, you don't say that I believe fire may burn or I know that fire burns. What do you say? If someone sitting there said, I have never, for me it is still a belief system. We'll make it a reality. Aa jao. Now, no or. Then you can say that, yeah, while you are here, we make it a reality. Here and now. And I say, what happened in Saket? It was a fiery session. When somebody cautions us, do not do this because I have had an experience, Until it becomes our own experience, it's a belief system. And the moment it becomes an experience, you don't need belief there, because it is a fact, experienced, validated with our own experience. So when we say I don't believe, or I don't have blind belief, or belief is blind, I'd say belief works in the realm of blind until it becomes a factual experience. There is a figurative way of speech, and then what is the other one? Figure of speech and the reality of it. So there are various aspects of speech that it can be understood as. But as far as I have explained, utna to us realm mein to pakka tha na. Now moving forward, Shraddha is one word which cannot be translated into English as a one word translation. It can be said faith, belief, trust. But I say it still misses the mark. In various scriptures, the word Shraddha, I think, has about 43 different shades of meanings in Sanskritam. But today I will not going to dwell into all those shades. Let me just take the simplest meaning. The word etymological derivation of the word Shraddha. Sat dharayate iti Shraddha. That through which we ascertain the nature of a vastu is called Shraddha. That because of which we ascertain the value of a vastu. Example would make it easy. Fire, what is its nature? Heat and light is its nature. Heat and light is its through which we can ascertain that vastu as heat. Green peppers, like jalapenos or serranos or Thai chili peppers. Because when they say bell pepper as peppers, मजाक कर रहे हो यार. Peppers have to be carrying that heat in it, that sting in it. Bell peppers are sweet. The Thai chilies and the Indian chilies, they have that sting in it, that heat in it, that spice in it. That is its nature, through which that vastu is ascertained. Similarly, to ascertain one's own true nature, the mental environment that has to be created, or the mental environment which is required, is called Shraddha. Now further defining this Shraddha, they say, Shastrasya Guru Vakyeshu Satya Buddhyavadharana iti Shraddha Nigadyate. There are four factors or four aspects in which one needs to have firmness of belief. What are these four aspects? One, that is called Shastra. Shastra, the scriptures. And I said, you can have Shraddha, but Shraddha does not stop you from questioning it, investigating into it. But what Shraddha protects us from is doubting it. I think I have dealt a couple of weeks ago the difference between a doubt and a question. A doubt is a realm wherein I don't believe in the entire thing being presented. Question is, I do believe, I do understand what you are saying, but a certain aspect of it is not clear. Therefore, I would like to have a further clarification, and this is where I have a question about. So Shastra, you can question until you reach to that clarity. So first is Shastra. What does the Shastra point towards? It points us towards that truth or ultimate reality. We call him as Uttama Purusha alias Paramatma. We call it as Paramatma. If you don't like the word Paramatma, just put it as X. It doesn't matter, nomenclature. Brahman, Paramatma, God, God principle, whatever suits you. Shastra points towards it. Guru, the one who is explaining that Shastra which points us towards that Paramatma in terms that we can understand. Have faith in Shastra, Deva, Guru. Last and the most important aspect where we need to have faith is in one's own self. That when the scriptures say Tattvamasi, you are that Paramatma, you are that reality. You should क्या मजाक कर रहे हो? मैं क्या Paramatma? Where can I be Paramatma? Come on. Let's talk something more realistic. When the Shastra is giving us the Mahavakya, that Tattvamasi, Ahamatma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma, when these Mahavakya statements are being given, to have that belief, to have that faith that I am that Paramatma, not experientially, but at least logically, sequentially arriving at that point for an intellectual clarity to start with, to have that faith. When faith in scriptures, in God, in Guru, and in self, all these four factors are put in, that environment which is created within is called Shraddha, through which we can reach to that core of our own being to identify one's own reality. Therefore, Shraddha cannot be immediately translated into one word. It has to have all these definitions put in place. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Those who have Shraddha gain that knowledge. Without that Shraddha, one cannot gain that knowledge. So develop that environment of positive possibility. When you come with that openness that where I am, it is not because I have come to drop children off and this fellow makes us sit and go through this pravachan, therefore I am going through this. But with a possibility that this being talked, there has some logical sense in it. There is a logical sequence to it. And the logic seems to be not just entertaining but also applicable. It makes sense. Let me take it home, apply it in various fields and test it out to see if there is a possibility before I abandon it. That scope, that possibility has to be created one's own heart. Otherwise, we come and we eagerly wait till the child gets to 12th grade so that one aspect of Sunday gets relieved from. 12 long years I have waited for this moment to get these 3 hours vacant, to get rid of this Chinmaya and its satsang. That's why you see that those parents whose children have graduated 12th grade, yadgatva nanivartante, once their children leave, they never come back again. Sometimes, unfortunately, they come across me and, oh yeah, it has been quite a while coming to Chinmaya, and that's it. It's most like an obligation rather than a field of possibility that one can test. One can attest for one's own self. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. So find that possibility within, that this is not something which is just spoken. Therefore has to be believed in and trusted in and do as you say. Until it becomes your conviction, question it, investigate into it, and then create the firmness. What will happen when you get, what is the promise that if you have this Shraddha, what will you get? Param Shantim Labdhva. This Shraddhavan Labhate Jnanam. But with this Jnana, what do you get? That you get Parama Shanti. See, when the vent is blowing, I realize it because when the vent is blowing, I have a competition. And you don't realize it. Many times when you respond, I have to ask you to speak louder, because unconsciously or subconsciously, your voices are in that Shruti. There is a pitch that vent is making a sound, and your voices are in tune with that. I have to ask you to speak louder so that you can grow beyond that pitch. So when the vent is blowing, I have to exert more than the vent. It's only I realize when the vent stops, because suddenly there is a relief. Then I can lower my pitch and volume, and the moment the vent stops, there is Shanti. Where, Swamiji, you keep speaking. The moment the vent stops, you can experience that peace, but that peace is vulnerable. It can be shattered as soon as I speak. That peace is not a permanent one. But here what is being talked about is that peace which is not vulnerable to external circumstances. Param Shantim. Jnanam labdhva param Shantim. Achirena adhigacchati. You will reach to that param Shantim sooner than you thought you could reach. Once you open your heart to the possibility that this is something which is beneficial. So next week, come with a different makeup. I'm talking of an internal makeup. Don't suddenly आए नया लाइन कुछ मार्केट में आया क्या स्वामी जी मेकअप का? Yes, it is called Shraddha brand. So brand yourself with that Shraddha from within. Come with that possibility and see the path unfold, because you have opened up for a positive influence. Probably next week we will be concluding this chapter. अच्छा already? कितने और 3 श्लोक हैं? Yeah, so we will be concluding it. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shant Shant.